Hi everyone, I am back. My name is Laura Smothers Chu, and wanted to say happy last week of December. We are almost through the holidays, and I wanted to bring you the last video in the self-care series. So if you have not seen my past videos, one of my fellow daughters, or rather, daughters like me, she asked me what is a cheap, not time consuming way to provide self care for herself. And so, in this series of, I'm not sure how many videos I've done, maybe five, this is my last one. And it's really about the power of touch. So, in these past videos, I've talked about being more mindful when you're running outside and interacting with nature, when you're reminiscing about the holidays in the past and how that can change your mindset for the good. Basically, it's really important that you are also getting that universal language of touch. And not only does that help you, but it also helps your caregiving parent and your parent with dementia. So I was actually going to talk about a different mindful topic today, but I remembered my visit with my parents a couple of days ago, and the touch was just so important. Let me just back up a little bit. So I have a social enterprise called Befriended Heart, and it is for other daughters who have a parent with dementia and are also supporting the caregiving parent in caring for the person with dementia. So basically, I live long distance from my parents. My mom takes care of my dad on a daily basis, but of course, I provide the other support since I am an only child. So, that being said, my dad, when he was first diagnosed about 5 years ago, the first thing to go were his language skills. And so that's called aphasia. So he was not able to think of the words he wanted to say, and he wasn't able to get those out. So very early on in my dad's diagnosis, I guess realized the power of touch and how that is a universal language. It is really the basic thing that we all do with each other to communicate and to have that personal connection. And, I personally believe, as I've said in a couple of other videos, that, I really believe that the person with dementia is still in there. And really, what's the best way to communicate with them, other than words, but with touch? Because that really is a universal love language. And I will put a link up here to the love languages that I talk about, 5 love languages, if your caregiving parent doesn't want help, because I think that this definitely connects to that. But I wanted to talk about some of the ways that I was able to provide loving touch to my dad with dementia and also my caregiving mom, during the holidays this year. So as I mentioned, also in another previous video, if you haven't seen, this was the last Christmas that my parents are going to be together in the same house before they both move closer to me. So my dad is going to a great memory care facility, and my mom is going to go to a newly built independent living apartment. So as I'm excited about that, there is also some sorrow there. There's some anxiety. Well, my dad does not know yet exactly what the plans are. My mom and I, of course, are very, very informed. And so what my mom and I were trying to do was to try to have the best Christmas that we could, realizing the circumstances that we were going to be, my parents are going to be moving next year. So anyway, I would say that probably all of these different ways of physical touch are applicable to both the parent with dementia and your caregiving parent. But I will say, with my caregiving parent, probably the best thing I did this year to manage my mom's stress and my own stress was to hire a home caregiver, basically someone that is paid by the family who comes in, provides companionship. I know our caregiver cooks for my parents. And my mom actually increased that to 5 days a week. And she said that it's been so helpful and it really has increased their quality of life. So I did actually do an interview with my friend, Dr. Natalie, who is from Dementia Care Blazers. She also has a very well-known YouTube channel within the dementia industry. And I did talk all about what the steps were that I took to hire a home caregiver and really, create all the stops to prevent any funny business from happening. I do actually have a personal story with that, so I will actually also link that here too. I hope that you check out that interview. And when you check out that video, you'll also get free access to my 10-step to home care guide. So I hope you enjoy that. So for the touch options, basically, I noticed that my dad has started to do these behaviors where he is, scratching his arm a lot, scratching his head. And from my research, I found that sometimes comes from boredom. So knowing what I did about the physical touch, I started to hold his hand in the car. And I saw that it would stop the behavior, the itching behavior. And it would also, he started to warm up my hands a couple of days ago, which really made me feel good. And as we know, this video is also about self-care for us. And so the physical touch helps us as well. So I was holding his hand. Also, I know, my dad is watching more TV lately than he used to. And so because I can't necessarily engage with him using words, I put my head on his shoulder and I could tell that he really enjoyed that. He smiled, and so while he is more verbal at this time, as we know, dementia is not necessarily consistent. And so just getting that reaction from him, I could tell that he enjoyed this physical touch. Also, hugs are huge. So, hugs actually, I believe a study has shown that if it's 20 seconds or longer, it really creates oxytocin, it creates dopamine. Both of those are happy chemicals, and it actually decreases cortisol. So as you can imagine, someone with dementia is likely pretty stressed out a lot of the time because, especially in my dad's case, he can't express himself the way that he used to. So the hugs, lasting more than 20 seconds, you can do that with your parent with dementia, and you can also do it with the caregiving parent. So I've been focusing on that as well. And not only does it increase oxytocin for the person that you're hugging, oxytocin, dopamine, and lowers cortisol for the person that you're hugging, but it also does that for you too. So I highly recommend that. I know that some of you have parents that have dementia that causes your parent to lash out or hit you. And of course, you can try to put your hand on their shoulder, maybe a very, less, invasive way of providing your loving touch. But you could also just wait until after they're not agitated anymore and, provide that touch on their shoulder or a hug. Also, holding hands, as I mentioned, is really helpful too. So, I think that is about it. I hope you find this helpful. Let me know what type of physical touch your parent prefers, whether it's the primary caregiver or the parent with dementia. And I would love to see that in the comments below. Finally, I wanted to tell you about an interview that I'm actually holding next month with my friend and guest expert, Julie Wendt. She is a nutritionist, and she is specializing right now in delaying dementia, or basically increasing cognitive reserve in our brains so that we, as daughters of a parent with dementia, will be less likely to get dementia. So I hope that you will join me next month, and if you subscribe now, you will be the first one to see that video. So I hope that you have a great New Year's Eve, and I look forward to providing you some interviews next year. Thanks so much. Bye.